G'day, Paul Brennan, Bring Our Birds Home, Friday, June 30th. Let's have a quick video update. Another month has gone by. It's been an interesting week. The last video update about a week ago, I mentioned we had help on the ground in Brazil. That has progressed now to some legal help being put in place, and also some help and some understanding of our campaign in the aviation community via AOPA in Brazil. So things are starting to form up. We're talking about maybe sending someone to Manaus within the next few weeks to go through the paperwork and to try and attempt some sort of deal or some sort of start of a deal that results in the goal of getting hold of that DC-8 airframe that was ZK-NZC, the third Air New Zealand DC-8 delivered in 1965, and the only original Air New Zealand DC-8 left on the planet. We really want it, and we want to get it. So in an interesting stage there, coming down to an end game perhaps. Can't really tell you the time frame, but we're certainly on the path, and it's getting quite exciting. And with our TV deal, of course, any big movements in that will require us to go there and film those things, so that's another aspect. DC-10. Next week I meet with a representative from the Cuban embassy here in Wellington, who will then be travelling to Cuba the following week. I'll fully brief Mario, is his name, on what we are doing with Bring Our Birds Home. I've sort of had a phone conversation about it, but we'll sit down and talk about it. I'll show Mario why the DC-10 is so important to us, being the last Air New Zealand DC-10 in existence, and also the relevance of that aircraft to this country. It took the Koru to London, and of course Erebus, that is in the picture as well, as the context and the meaningfulness of this airframe. So I'm really going to impress that on Mario. He's going to hear about that. Again, going hard out for that airframe. It's an artifact. It's a piece of our history. It's an important piece of our history. We can save it. We need to make the strongest attempt possible. And it's a great story, and it's for all the right reasons. And as a way of building a relationship between the two countries, it's a fantastic thing to do. So I'm optimistic. I'll report back on how that meeting goes or went next week. So you'll know about that, and then we'll see what happens. So that's where things are at. The other three aircraft, they're safe for now. 2 in service, 1 parked and still flyable, up for sale. I haven't looked into whether there has been a sale. I expect I would be advised, because we've been in personal contact with the owners. They know about our campaign and why we're interested in that aircraft. So there's been no movement there. So that's about it really for the update. The Give a Little page is still open. It's givealittle.co.nz/cause/Bring Our Birds Home. We will be funding probably some travel through to Manaus for people in Brazil, out of Sao Paulo, on the DC-8 effort. But very shortly that recce trip scenario is going to come along, and our engineer Rex is researching the options for dismantling machines of this size, specifically DC-8, DC-10. He worked on them for many years in his career, so he knows a lot about them. So we're thinking the whole thing through. The other aspect too, this week we've been thinking about displaying these artifacts, what to do, where to do it, what form it could take. And there have been some positive conversations with people who may be interested in doing this sort of thing. So that's encouraging. I'd put it like that. And also we have a young chap that's come forward and offered his help, journalistic help in anything that we need to do. So Jared is his name, and he's a young journalist, and the task that we've decided to have him do is to research the areas around New Zealand that are best suited for a museum or a display attraction like this. You know, the tourism flows, population flows, the growth, who's hungry, who's not, things like that. So we'll be in a position to go to a next phase of once you've got these airframes, of what to do with them and effectively deploying them. And personally, I like to see them all in one place rather than distributed. if we can. But anyway, I'll keep you up to date with anything that I can report back on that, given that it's really early days and it's just sort of informal chatting at this point. But there does seem to be some interest in creating an attraction like that if the sums work and the appropriate venue can be found, etc. By the way, I hope you've been enjoying some of the footage that's been going up. Of course, the 7.6 cleared out final time this week. We put together this montage of 7.67 footage. There's some great footage out there, and it really has been a very good workhorse for the country. As I mentioned in one of the posts, starting to think about that first 7.67 that Air New Zealand got back in '86. That'll be coming up at some point. There's nothing lost in contacting owners and putting your hand up and flagging your interest early on, because you never know, you may be in a position to do something when the time comes. So thinking of that. Thank you also to people who have been sending in images. Had some great images come in the last week. You'll start to see some of them shortly. Some old timetables and great old NAC pic. And it really is just fantastic to see these archive pictures, especially you know, the colour ones. Some of them are great quality, and of course that Beatles arrival on the Electra TEC, very popular, over 10,000 views, incredible, shared I think about 80 times, and that was fantastic footage. It really was beautifully shot, and it seems that people were in love with the old cars and the guys turning up on the motorcycles as well as the Beatles arriving. But again, it just shows you the place in our history that these airframes occupy, and the story that we tell by saving them and one day displaying them. So have a great weekend, and we'll update you again soon. Thanks.